Okay, let's go.
He wants to jump
1,000 cars. Sir, you have 1,000 cars.
I don't think I'd attempt to try this stunt.
Or we owe this horsepower to Uncle Sam.
Too many cars.
Car.
Roses would be
Like I put my beer belly on it.
If you can't immediately tell somebody how many cars you have,
You'll really give those uppity yuppies something to think about.
Stay on the bar. Don't go off the bar with your Bronco.
1980 Volvo horns, which are like, I want the man's coolant.
and he's like, "Oh, I thought it'd be small. It's for a small car." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's still an automatic transmission. They're never going to be light."
it's definitely going to have to crash.
Starting off with Brad buying another car.
That's the West. Internet.
Is this a Nigerian oil print?
I also wish you drove a tan Camry.
Anyways,
Anyway,
that's a
horrible,
very
horrible podcast
that's
content.
a very
Talking about a picture.
inside joke.
It loves to be driven hard.
Engine. I'll bring that up.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, good.
All right, welcome to Auto Off Topic. It's been a while. What's up, Brad?
This is the first episode we're doing remotely since I don't know, when did we stop doing this? Before you went to Japan. So
Oh
what
yeah,
was that?
yeah.
May?
It's been a while, and funny thing is too,
April.
I need a haircut too. I was trying to think. I was like,
we
oh
can
no,
we can all tell that through the podcast. We can hear your hair filtering the sound.
yeah,
obviously.
it's probably brushing against the microphone because it's so long. I was thinking, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of need a haircut. Wait, when was the last time I had a haircut? Oh, that was March. Whoa, okay. Because I usually have it
March?
cut pretty short. Yeah, I have it cut pretty short.
All right,
It's
Grizzly Adams over there. Jeez.
yeah, it's pretty long. I gotta go. I've just been busy.
I
with
I
different
can't go
stuff.
a month without a haircut, and I would look like a homeless man. So my hair grows so stupid fast.
So that's because we'll talk about being busy because that's why I haven't gotten. That's why my dad and I haven't gotten to the Volvo yet. We're almost there. We're about.
I mean, you've gotten a lot done on the Volvo.
Yeah, I was waiting for some
And-
parts, and I think I talked
Yeah,
about
and last I heard, there was a Volkswagen in the way on the lift anyway, because you're working on the Volkswagen.
it. I have to work on
So-
that after I do the Volvo. So,
Oh, okay.
but not like after like after I get. I mean, I'll go right into it. The Volvo. So I think I was waiting last time. I had the Webers. I was waiting for the intake manifolds, the adapters.
Yes, the fresh from the Swedish chocolate factory.
Yeah, those came from Sweden. After they didn't, they're like, I was like, please, can I have a tracking number like 2-3 weeks in a row? All of a sudden, they're like, here's your tracking number. And then the next day they showed up. I was like, okay.
Here's your tracking number. Oh, good. I'll track it. It's at your door. Oh, okay.
I
Thanks,
was like,
guys.
All right. Could have given that me a week ago. I was just trying to plan stuff. But anyway, they're super nice. And I had to order some more parts to mount the Webers. And those came in. And I've got some adapter stuff to, it's going to tie the two throttle shafts together in the middle so I can run one linkage down to it. I got some heat shields for them because they hang out over the manifold or the header. It's these kind of cool stainless heat shields that like bolt to the bottom of them.
Do they also double as a drip tray?
Yeah, I guess.
Because I know one of the things you got to worry about on a non-cross flow car like that is you can't have fuel dripping out of your carburetors and onto your exhaust manifolds.
Yeah. I'm going to wrap the manifolds too. Some people don't like that. I've done it on a lot of my cars. I've never had an issue. So I find it works pretty well.
Also, as long as your car sees weather, once it's like that, you drive it, occasionally
Yeah.
it might see rain, but it doesn't get driven in too much weather. So be fine.
And when they're hot, they dry right out because I've pressure washed cars with it and it soaks up the water and then you start it up and it steams off. So they don't really hold moisture. I don't know. That feels like an urban car legend. I don't know.
It's probably a combination of urban car legend, but also like people wrapping inferior quality parts.
Yeah.
Like a part that was going to break no matter what.
I'm not going to spend $1,200 to ceramic coat a header. That just doesn't feel valuable.
It does not. But you can buy that same header 10 times over in order to cover
Yeah.
that
But anyway,
price difference.
yeah. So I got a lot of those parts. The plan is to put the Volvo on the lift, put the engine in it, transmission. I gotta rebuild the drive shaft real quick. I should have done that while I've been waiting for stuff, but just didn't get to that as well. It can go in after anyways. I have new exhaust for it. I think I talked about that. That's gonna go on. At least from the engine back, I'll have the exhaust hung under the car. And then we'll take it off the lift, move it over, fiddle with getting the carbs mounted and all hooked up because there's some plumbing to do. I've got a fuel pressure regulator that doubles as a filter. It's kind of cool looking. It's real steampunk looking. It's got like a glass cup. You can see the filter in it. It's Italian. It's like
Fancy.
Malapassi or something. But it's made for the Webers, and everybody uses them on these Webers, and it you only need like 3 psi for them or something. So it's
Yeah, most carburetors run at sub like 4 psi. So
yeah. I think they're actually really low. I think they're like individually they're like 1.5. So you set this thing around like 3 or something. So
yeah,
it
if I
kinda
remember correctly,
splits
like
off.
the single Webers are different, obviously, but the single Weber in the Corolla, I think we have the. Actually, I think you were here when I was working on the car, and you, I think, installed the fuel pressure regulator on it.
Yeah.
And I think it's like 3.5 psi it's set at,
Something really
or
low.
something super low like that. Yeah.
And this fuel filter is cool. It like almost acts like a little swirl pot kind of surge tank. So it holds there'll be a reserve of fuel up in the firewall.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, to try
Far
so
enough away from the engine and the header so it doesn't boil.
Oh
and
yeah,
vapor
yeah.
lock.
It'll be so I'm gonna kind of have to reroute the way the fueling goes, like kind of loop the fuel line around along the firewall because there's a ton of space on the passenger side to mount it, and then run it over.
You could put it where the cucaracha horns were.
Yeah, basically. As I got that and a couple other things, but then I'll have to figure out the filters for them, which ITG, I'm going to run one of those sausage filters, has backplates set up for DCOE carbs. You just have to figure out the spacing, and you can hopefully they have one that's pre-set up that matches the spacing. If not, I can send them the spacing and they will laser cut one. So
Okay. I wondered if they did that or if they sent you a blank because there's round holes and you drilled out the holes. Would that go?
you could, but you can also send them the thing and they'll do it for you.
That sounds easier.
Yeah.
Also sounds
and
cleaner.
then- yeah, and the filter just bolts to that. And I got to figure out what height filter I can fit. You try to put the highest one you can because you want the highest trumpets you can fit.
Yeah, you want
Just
basically you're playing with like intake runner length at that point, right? Like the
yeah,
combination of the intake runner plus the trumpet on the carb changes how the carb runs.
yeah, and you try to get the
changes
longest one you can.
The
'Cause
velocity of the
there's
air
some,
or
well,
whatever.
there's some harmonics in there. The pressure wave bounces back and forth as the valve closes, so you want it nice and long.
Plus you also
So
want to sound good.
Yeah, and hopefully it'll I've got these. That's the other thing I got to go through. I know what they came with for jetting, but now I got to look through in my research. Of course, these cars have been around long enough. There's a bunch of old books, PDFs that have what your base jetting you should start at, and then of course some people say like add 10% for modern fuel, and then just kind of figure out order some jets that are a couple stops close to each other so we can get the thing kind of set up at first, and then you have to drive it a little bit and do some tuning. But there's tons of videos on how to tune them and how they work, so it shouldn't be
Yeah, the
too
jets
bad.
the jets are inexpensive to buy a variety pack of jets. And then I think we talked before you're going to run a oxygen sensor
I have a
with
wideband, so
wideband so you can
it'll help in the mixture.
really kind of fine tune the mixture, make sure it's running a safe air fuel ratio, right?
Yep. But that also has to be installed, so that reminds me I need to get like an external. You can buy them now. There's external fuse boxes with relays in them. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I have
So,
one. I have one in my Amazon cart because I was going to buy it
Exactly.
for the Corolla before it blew up, and it's been sitting in the cart ever since. Which is fine. I hadn't buy it because I found better ones that are not on Amazon since then. So
Oh, well, send me
maybe you
those
better
because I want to
remind
look at
me.
the Amazon ones. Because I'm looking for one that's gonna maybe get like 4 relays and like 6 fuse spots or something. Like I don't need
Yeah,
a
for
big
sure.
one.
Yep. They're
I just
really
need
slick
one.
little pieces.
Yeah, because I want one that will run the O2. And then the car's got the driving lights on it, so I want one to run the driving lights because I don't want them just all hanging out on the firewall like they were before.
Yeah, make it
But
much cleaner. I was planning on doing it on the fender well and just sinking in a couple of riv nuts, and
oh
because
yes, my favorite.
if you look at my Corolla, it has like 7 different wires going to the positive cable on the battery, and that A makes me think fire, and B, it's embarrassing when I open the hood because I don't want people to think that I did that.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous, and that's the thing with especially with like the wideband. You can't just power it directly off ignition power. You want it to, when you turn the ignition on, you want it to trigger the relay, and then it powers it directly from the battery. So, yeah, having a little fuse panel in there that's powered off the battery would be ideal.
For sure.
But that's kind of where I stand with the Volvo. So then, yeah, that's what we're just gonna do like a final sort of nut and bolt check over the engine. The engine will go in, all that stuff will go in. We'll pull it off the lift. There's a lot of stuff we can do on the floor to figure it out. Hopefully it's running fairly quickly. But while we're doing that, I'm gonna put my mom's Beetle on the lift so I can fix the brakes because we're trying to move it around, and one of the drum brakes is completely locked up. It's basically like on all the time. So it's really hard to move around because it doesn't want to roll. So my dad
Plus,
bought
with
a
a
front.
limited driving season, it'd be good to
Yeah,
get that thing done and out so you can use it.
yeah. My dad bought a front disc brake conversion kit, so I want to do that to it, and hopefully just free up. If it's the rear brakes that are locked up, we'll just free up and put new drums in the rear.
You probably don't need new drums. You probably just need new wheel cylinders.
Yeah, whatever is stuck, I guess. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah,
we'll
that's
check
the
them
good
out.
thing about drums is that they're pretty robust. So, while they're slightly more of a pain to maintain and work on, they don't usually need much. And it's a Volkswagen, so a wheel cylinder is probably available at Napa down the street.
Maybe, I don't know. Old Beetles. They might not. Maybe they don't.
If
tear
not, it
apart
won't be
that-
hard to find.
No. Oh, that's the other thing I did do. I did the brakes on the daily driver Volkswagen, which were a pain.
Because they require the electronics to turn the parking brake in.
Nope. It's a manual cable parking brake, but the rotors were seized to the hubs, like way more than I expected for a 60,000 mile car. But like I did
they
the
came
front
off.
brakes on my mom's Subaru, and Subaru is nice and puts threaded holes in the hub of the rotor that you can use them to push off the hub. And Volkswagen does not do that. So I was trying to hit these things, they weren't coming off. And then my dad had the good idea. They had like little holes in them. They're almost like adjustable bolt holes. I don't know. It was weird. Hit that to the side with the air hammer and spun them off the hub. It worked pretty well.
On the Volkswagen.
So on the Volkswagen.
Yeah, good.
And the rears, man. Yeah, the shop down the street, I talked about it, wanted like $1,000 to do them. Probably because they're kind of a pain to do, because the caliper bolts are like buried inside between the suspension and are like nearly impossible to get to, and felt like they were like way over torqued from the factory. So,
And are they
that
triple
was kinda-
squares on top of it?
yes, which I had, but trying to
Just-
like break them free.
I never feel like you have good positive torque on a triple square.
I had to do some sins. I had to do a impact to a non-impact triple square because I just could not get the leverage on it. And it's like,
Yeah.
they were like 100 foot-pounds or something on these bolts, which felt excessive for a rear brake caliper.
Yeah. So Volkswagen front axles also are triple squares. And New England ones are always fun. So I'd done a couple times on those, and I never feel like when you're working with the tool with the triple square bit in there, I always feel like it's like you are much closer to smashing your knuckles on something than normal. I feel like it's kind of just give up instead of unscrewing properly, but the
But
cars are
anyway,
pretty superior in a lot of ways, just not triple squares. I don't understand triple squares.
yeah, I don't know. It took me like an hour a corner, which was kind of annoying for doing brakes. I really underestimated the amount of time it would take me. That was actually one of the,
Yeah,
that was like the last weekend you were here, I was doing it. But they are all done now. I got a pad rotor kit from FCP Euro. So the next time, because I plan on keeping this car forever, the next time they'll be free. They were some nice Zimmerman rotors that were all like E-coated or whatever they call it, so they don't rust. They look like factory rotors. And then I didn't recognize the brand name of the pads, but the strangest thing, they smelt like rotten fish. It's weird.
yeah, you handed them to me and were like, smell these. They smell terrible. And I was like, no.
I could
But I
smell
did
them
anyway.
on the car for like a day.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what they're made out of. Fish scales. I don't know.
Fish scales, yeah. Who knows?
But they break fine. They don't seem to dust too badly, but I kind of didn't take that into consideration. I probably could have bought better pads. But the pad and rotor kit themselves for 4 wheels was $300. So I was like, feels pretty good.
That's not terrible at all. And it's not like you track the car, so you don't have to worry too
No.
much about
No, they have
super
nice
excessive braking.
They have nice initial bite for around town. So, but then that car I did end up bringing it back over to Audubon because I needed new tires put on it. So I got some Michelin Pilot Sport all seasons in the regular sport wagon size of 17, which is like they're 225 45 17s versus the factory 205 55 17.
Which is slightly wider, but slightly shorter overall. But it's less than an inch overall, so it's less than, say, less than a quarter of an inch top and bottom. Because it's 1 inch overall, like the whole tire, like the full diameter. So you're talking, if you put it into quadrants, it would be less than a quarter of an inch per quadrant of the tire, which is almost nothing.
You don't even notice it. The ride's maybe a tiny bit worse because it has a shorter sidewall.
Could also be
But
a different tire, like,
yeah,
and different brand tires have slightly, slight variations in their overall size too. That slight difference might not even be a slight difference. It might be the same as tires that were on there. Like it's weird how tires are an inexact science. Like they're like 225/50 and 225/50 are going to be the same. Well, turns out they're not. They're pretty
It's
close.
such a weird size though. Like I'm not even sure if Tire Rack even carried the Falcons for it, but like that, looking up that size, like I think maybe like Conti's was like the only thing on Tire Rack, and they were like $1,200, and I was like, that's really annoying. And then you look up the regular sport wagon and a set of Michelin. So these are Michelin Pilot Sport all seasons. So they're not Pilot Sport cups or whatever the hell they are, PS4s.
No, they're the same tires you had on the old blue WRX, aren't they?
Yeah, so they're 500 tread wear, but they grip like a summer tire pretty well, actually. $800 for 4 tires, which is not cheap. I feel like they were cheaper probably a year ago, but
everything was cheaper a year ago. So,
I felt like I got a better tire for way less money. So
yeah, and you can never go wrong with Michelins. They always last longer, and they're always good tires. So they always way outlast their tread rating.
Yeah, and I'm only gonna run these 3 seasons, so and I'm especially glad I swapped them out because it started getting hot here, and I'm doing a lot of mileage. We got some stuff going on I'll talk about. But yeah, so that car, like we said, or in the Discord, it's one of our Discord users there, the Stylus guy, always likes to say every car becomes a project car in a long enough timeline.
If you intend to keep it forever, that is definitely the case. And
Yeah, I really want
being
to
as
keep this car.
we all know your history and the talent in your garage you've had since you pretty much were 17 years old. So
Well, I'm looking at this Volkswagen. I'll probably buy something else at some point, and I'll probably still keep this car because there is no other manual all drive turbo wagon that will ever be made again.
And we normally do Starion Market Watch, but did you see the sale last week of the other Great Falls Green 2018 Sport Wagon with 65,000 miles on it? So pretty much your car, but with this panel roof.
Yeah, it was a slightly higher model, but I think those are worse because they come with a panel roof, which is not
People don't want the
desirable in my
panel roof.
opinion. I think that should actually take away like $5,000 because they're so leak prone.
But that car sold for $28,000, which is more than they listed for new.
That one was probably like, as option, it was probably in the like low 30s.
Okay,
but
yours
it
is
was
listed around 28, I think, right? New.
Yeah, mine was like 26, 25, 26.
I think you paid that, but I think sticker was like 28.
Yeah, I don't remember now, but
nonetheless, it's the weird Jetta Sport Wagon thing, or Golf Sport Wagon thing, because I had the same luck with mine. Like mine was worth more than I paid for it 3 years later. Like, and yours is worth more than you paid for it 5 years later, 6 years later.
Yeah, I'm not looking to sell it, but
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying what a wild, weird car for that to be.
It would only be really annoying. I guess if it ever got totaled, I'd have to argue with them that they should pay me more than probably what they think they should.
Well, the good thing is at least there are comps out there to show them.
Yeah, because it would be impossible to replace, and I just have to buy something completely different.
Or a boring colored one, because those are cheaper. It's just that color combo is what made that car that much money.
But anyway,
insane.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And then I tried that Sonex wheel cleaner you're talking about, the stuff you left over for me. It worked really well. I haven't had a chance to buy more. I got to get some more. I'd used my old wheel cleaner on it the other day, but I like it better. So
yeah, it's not cheap. It works really well. My thing is you probably don't need to use it all the time. If your wheel's not really dirty, you don't need it. But if wheels get really dirty, like your G20 wheels had like track day dirt on them.
Yeah.
Like after a track day, it probably is really nice to clean with that versus the regular stuff.
Plus, those wheels are rough cast on the G20, so you can't really wax them or ceramic coat them.
Yeah, they're that same Watanabe rough cast like the ones on the Sapporo are.
Yeah. But
which I have to clean a little bit more each time.
Yeah, I used it on the OZs, and they're like, the Superleggers are like kind of a matte silver, matte gunmetal. Came out pretty well. Like, really, I didn't have to scrub them because...
Were they dirty enough that you saw them change color with the soap?
Oh, yeah, they turned pink. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's how you know it's working.
Yeah. So, yeah, that car's that car's doing pretty well. It's probably the last time I'll take it over to Autobahn though for work. Now I hit 60K, I'll start doing my own oil changes. I just needed them to do the tires and the alignment that I can't do.
Yeah, it's outside of warranty now anyway, so you don't need that record of it being done.
It certainly is, but anyway, yeah, I kind of went through all my project car stuff. I think you had some other things, right?
I had a couple of quick things. In between the time that we last recorded in late April and today, we had another incident with the Maverick. So that truck's cursed, basically. And then that incident turned into 2 incidents because that truck's cursed. So first thing happened. Naomi was driving home from work, and some jagoff in a big lifted F-350 decided he needed to make the exit last second and like flew across 3 lanes of traffic and over some pretty rough terrain between the exit and the highway. And he had a bunch of unsecured concrete in his truck. So when he hit the, like they call it the gore lane, the triangle shaped or core shaped lane in between the highway and the on-ramp, the back of the truck bounced up and threw chunks of concrete out and made a direct line to her hood, fender, headlight, and bumper. So we had a pretty hefty damage on the fender, the hood, and a little less damage than the headlight and bumper, but had to get it all fixed. So unfortunately, there was another insurance claim. And of course, in traffic on the highway, you don't get plates for the truck, and the truck doesn't stop, and there's nobody to go against except your own insurance. So that was cool. Just a casual $4,000 claim. Good times. So, and then when we were inspecting the vehicle, we noticed a dent in the tailgate that lined up perfectly with her bike rack. And then in looking at it, we looked a little further and noticed that there was a dent in the bumper. And now that I'm telling this story, I feel like I did tell this story before, but I'm not sure. So she fixed the bumper. That's the part I remember talking about, in the driveway with heat and some clamps and some wood. So that was taken care of here, but the dent in the tailgate remained. So we dropped the truck off for bodywork. And while it was there, they had their PDR guy take care of the tailgate. So that dent is gone, and the front of the truck now is repaired. But the curse of the blue truck continues, because while the truck was sitting there in the parking lot of the body shop, the building next door to the body shop decided that they were going to retar their roof. And whatever kind of material they were spraying
I didn't know this
covered all of the cars in the parking lot, including our truck, with a fine mist of roof tar. So we
Oh,
have the
boy.
truck back. The new panels don't have roof tar on them, but the rest of the truck does. So we're currently going through whatever it's going to take to fix that. So I'm sure if you remember,
ceramic coat.
we had ceramic coat on the truck. And while ceramic coat is great, you can't like color sand and buff or use anything super aggressive because you'll take the ceramic coat off if you go too aggressive. So the shop that fixed the car understands, because they're a shop that does insurance work, but also like very high end restorations. Like the car being painted in the booth after hers was a silver Lamborghini LM002, and the shop builds.
You can't get away
like-
from those things.
No, I can't apparently. And this shop, it's living here in the valley, man. There's so many weird cars. And the shop is one of those shops that builds like $500,000 1972 Chevy Blazers. So they have a pretty low tolerance for garbage. And they do really good work. I don't know if you've ever heard of Hogan Built. That's the hot rod builders that builds those Blazers and stuff. It's his body shop that was doing the work. But so they understand the ceramic coat. They understand the whole process. So they got us in touch with their detailer, who came and fixed a bunch of cars that were there on the lot that had this tar all over them. And he's going to come to the house next week and kind of go over the process of what needs to be done. And he's aware of the ceramic coat and how it works, and see if he can do something without damaging the ceramic coat. Otherwise, we'll have to have the ceramic coat all reapplied, not just on the repainted fender hood and bumper cover. So good times. But
Like in my day, we just threw some Carnauba on it. It was good to go.
listen, your day is my day. Here's what I'll say about ceramic coat. Let me turn this into this is our going on 2 years now of ceramic coat. It definitely works, because in the entire time we've owned the car, it's never been waxed. And when it gets wet, the water still beads up like I waxed it yesterday. It's very easy to clean. It never really looks dirty. Dust doesn't stick to it. It kind of flies off. The negatives of ceramic coat are it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You have to think about everything when you're washing the car and cleaning the car. You can't just scrub it. You can't run it through any kind of car wash other than like a fully, definitely touchless car wash, which as a car guy, you should be doing anyway, but there's never that like, I just need to get this thing clean. It's always a process. It requires as minimal touch to it as possible. So the quick review is it works really well. The water still beads up. There are no swirl marks on the truck after 2 years. The black plastics have it applied to them, and the black plastics all look like they looked the day we picked the truck up. The wheels are super easy to clean. They never look really brake dusty. That could also be partly because it's a hybrid, so a lot of the electric motor system does some of the braking, but nonetheless, it definitely works. It's just if you want to keep it pristine, it's a bit of work. So, we go out there on a Friday night and clean the car, and it's a 2-hour process to clean the truck because she uses the foam cannon and then a special kind of soap that's specially formulated to use with the ceramic coat stuff, and then she doesn't use anything to dry it but a leaf blower, and that's it's a whole thing. But I will say it looks really good. I just don't know that if it were my vehicle, I would have the patience to treat it as such. So I don't know how it would last under normal circumstances, not under the tender loving care of following the directions to the T every time. So there's that.
I have the bottled ceramic coat stuff is what I do in the Volkswagen. I feel like it's 90% effective. And I just treat it like a normal car, the way I clean it.
Sure. Now that's very different, supposedly, stuff. And that's where my issue with this stuff comes, because
it's probably more your level because it's the same as mine. Like you're careful enough that it's fine. Like,
yeah. And the funny thing is so is Naomi. She just wanted to try this ceramic coat in her truck. And again, like I said, it looks really good all the time.
And then I use
So there's something to be
it's
said for it.
it's the stuff you spray it when you're rinsing it, and then you
Right.
rinse it off, and so I'm basically reapplying it every time I wash the car.
Yeah.
So it just like stays up on it.
Yeah,
And then have the
I don't have
detailer
enough
that does it.
information. I don't have enough information on the product to say what the differences are in the product. I do have that stuff as well. The problem is most of my vehicles that get washed with any regularity don't have enough paint to worry about.
Yeah,
So,
but you've seen my Volkswagen has no swirl marks on it. So
I've never really looked closely at it because it always just looks nice, but I've never really thought about your process.
only-
with it.
the only problem is I think it's in the Volkswagen paint. Is that even since new, I've had that ceramic coat on it. Any bird poop on it just burns it. Like it doesn't matter. I think it wouldn't matter. It's just super acidic.
See, now
So
that's
maybe the nicer
difference
stuff
with-
wouldn't have.
Yeah, so we have those 2 giant trees in our front yard. So we are a constant battle with bird crap here. And there are no stains on our truck. So, and there are definitely stains on my vehicles. Like there's a rather large one on the roof of the truck, my white truck, that obviously that, 35, almost 40-year-old paint with no clear coat that's already been sun-baked, had no protection at all. So it didn't take long for the bird poop to eat a stain into that. But at the same time, her truck isn't immune to our trees and does get pooped on. It's a very nice truck for me to poop on, but it doesn't have a lot of stains or any stains at all. So maybe that's part of it. I probably wouldn't do it for my own vehicle only because I also enjoy the satisfaction of waxing a car and stepping back and looking at it. I mean, like, yeah, that looks good. And I'm not willing to spend the money it costs to professionally have something ceramic coated and then not treat it as an object of perfection. I don't want to experiment, It's a very different thing. I have here a quote unquote professional level ceramic coating kit that I wanted to try out on something. I got it when I was working in a body shop, but I don't have anything to try it on. So I'm wait till I have a car with very nice paint that also sees a lot of outdoor time before I even try that myself. So we'll see what happens. But nonetheless, short version of a long story, it definitely works, but it's not maintenance free. It's a little bit more maintenance heavy. At least if you follow their directions as they say to be done by the Japanese company that makes the product called Sencha. So also, if you use the Sencha product, they tell you to use the Sencha products on the Sencha product.
Of
And they're
course.
only available from Japan.
Of course. Well,
And
then
there's
you know
only
it's good.
there's only one vendor in the entire United States that sells it. So you have to buy it direct from him because they won't ship it from Japan to the United States unless you buy it through their retailer.
It's the Kobe beef of ceramic coating.
Yeah, it really is. I will say that the retailer that
Wagyu
has
beef,
it
I
does
should say.
not does not. Yeah, I knew what you meant. The retailer that has it does not mark it up significantly over the list price in Japan, so it's not. At least it's not that kind of a thing where it's like, oh, you can buy in Japan for $12, and here it's $150.
Well, there's a reason to go to Japan. You can load up a carry-on with it.
It might make the trip worthwhile. We'll see what happens. But again, like I said, he doesn't charge a huge markup, so it's not. It wouldn't even be that good. But it's funny because you go to their website and it lets you build a whole cart, and then you go to order it, and it's like, no, we cannot ship to the United States. Please go visit Bob Moses detailing. So, which means apparently it's also only sold in Phoenix because Bob Moses is like a local detailer. But okay, whatever. Stuff works, no question. So, moving on from her truck, which I'll have another update for hopefully next week after the detailer comes. I did get an engine for the Colt. I don't think we talked about that. I don't remember. It's probably not recording
No,
for so
I don't think
long.
you
I
did.
forget what we did and didn't talk about. So, as you know, the Colt has been inoperable for a bit. This is the Blue 78 Colt. The 1.6 in it has been tired for a while, but I've been limping it along the past 4 or 5 years. And then actually, one of the last times you were here was the weekend of the Prescott Forest Rally last year. Was it last year? It must have been last year. And
It was.
so September of last year.
Yep.
At the Prescott Forest Rally, they were doing at Park Expose, they wanted a display of vehicles that over the years have been used in rally in the U.S. And obviously Dodge Colts were a huge presence in American rally in the 70s and 80s. So I was like, oh, sweet, I'll bring the Colt. And you were already there because I think you were up in Prescott for family stuff. And you met up with Josh and Michael and David and all them. And I was coming up from Phoenix, and one of the issues the car has had for a while is that it will occasionally overheat. Well, it definitely overheated about halfway there. And I'm sure you remember the story. I turned around, came back home, got another car, went all the way back up again. So didn't make it in the Colt. So that was cool. But that was also the last time the Colt ever really ran, because it used to be it overheated once in a while. And now it overheats every time you start it and leave it even idling for 10 minutes or driving on at 35 miles an hour or 65 miles an hour. It doesn't matter. The car instantly overheats. So whatever happened that day was the final straw for limping that engine along. And I've been going back and forth in my head of what I want to do to the car to fix the engine, whether I wanted to rebuild the 1.6 that's in it, because again, I'm sure it needs everything. Or did I want to put a 2.6 in it from like the truck or a Starion 2.6 and go crazy with a turbo? Didn't really want to do that. Or did I want to do a 2.4 from like a Mighty Max? Or so what wound up happening fortuitously is that a friend of the show, Josh, from Adventure Driven Design, purchased a I want to say 89, I could be wrong on the year, Mighty Max pickup that had a bad motor. Well, the seller sold it along with a spare engine that was in the back. But the truck was a 2.4 truck, and the engine in the back was a 2.4. Sorry, the truck was a 2.4 fuel-injected truck, and the engine that was there was a 2-liter carbureted engine. So it didn't do him any good. So I made a deal with him to purchase the spare engine from him because it was supposedly a good engine. Whether it's totally good or not, I don't know, but it's out of the vehicle. So I'm going to put it on the stand and strip it down and re-gasket it and inspect it. And if it seems decent, then I'll just run it as is. If it's junk, then we'll figure it out from there. But it is a 4G63 from a probably mid-80s carbureted Mighty Max truck. But it's a single cam 4G63. So that bolts directly up to the transmission in the car. So that requires no extra work as far as that goes. It's carbureted, so there's really no extra work as far as that goes. I could technically run it with the stock carb, or I could buy a $200 Weber and convert it to that, or I could go way overboard and do twin carbs like you did, which if any car deserves it,
join
it's
the
that
fun.
car. I may do that. We'll see what the budget and
YOLO.
timing allows for at the time. Yeah. It may get a single carb just to get it running. We'll see what happens. But yeah, so it's going to get 4G63 swapped, but not twin cam 4G63, single cam 4G63, which in learning about that is pretty much a cylinder head is swaps on. There's not any big modifications to be made other than obviously timing equipment. So I could technically do a twin cam swap if I wanted to, but doing a twin cam swap presents all kinds of problems with clearance for things in a Colt. So I think the move might just be to run the 2-liter single overhead cam 4G63 with some fun induction and make it work again. So there is a 4G63 on the floor in the garage. It's painted neon green and looks terrible, but that'll be fixed. Because it's from a mini truck guy out of a mini truck. So it is mini truck mods, which will get taken care of. So that car is in line to be done after the Corolla, which is sitting in the garage in the position of service, which I think I talked about last time, but haven't actually touched because it's been, I don't even know why. It's just been busy. It's been hot and it's been busy, and I haven't cared about going out and working on it. And I think a big thing about not podcasting is I don't have any reason to go out and work on cars. So I think part of the reason we podcast is to keep us honest and keep us working on cars. So maybe we start recording and I can have updates if I go work on things.
I guess.
Well, that's it for project car stuff around here currently. I will say that this is our first not in-person podcast since the long break. We are trying to figure out how to make it better, how to make it sound better, how to make it work better. And we're trying new things so that we can make it more reliable so that we can have guests. Because currently we don't want to invite guests on and then have audio issues. So
Exactly.
I did a little behind the scenes stuff here. We did purchase a Wi-Fi booster for the house here because it seems like one of the issues here is that the signal would drop a lot. And I'm not sure if it was just due to inferior equipment or what. But I also didn't have great Wi-Fi in the garage. So this booster seems to have taken care of that problem. And knock on wood, I haven't had any issues tonight with this podcast dropping or the signal scrambling or either one of us sounding like a robot. So maybe there is some positivity to this Wi-Fi booster. So that could be maybe a part of our problem. We shall see. But we do want to keep it going. We do want to improve things and make it better. You know, I think part of the reason we stopped was because we got a little stagnant and we're trying to make things better. So bear with us as we make some changes and try to make things better. Because ultimately we do this for us. We're not trying to make a profit or make a living. So it's If it becomes too much of a pain, we'll stop doing it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I just I don't know. I get people like to be influencers and try to make money from it, but I don't know. Just gives me cringe vibes sometimes.
The internet has ruined hobbies.
Yeah, not everything has to be a hustle.
Yep. You're supposed to do your hobby for your fun, not for your making money. And listen,
You can if you want,
I
but
don't.
not for
Yeah, I
us.
don't. It's not negative. I'm not. That's not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying like we're not here to make money. We're here to enjoy cars and car life. And let's be honest, dudes don't call each other on the phone, so this gives us an hour a week to chat about cars together. So there it is. That's how this works. And if you want to listen to it, we appreciate you listening to it. And as I think I said in one of the last 2 episodes, I appreciate everybody who reached out during our month and a half or so of absence, because it does remind me that people are actually there listening, and I get surprised sometimes because imposter syndrome. But I promise I won't talk about it every week. We're trying to figure things out, trying to get things going, and trying to get back into the swing of things and get into the routines and do all our stuff and maybe get some games of Craig Don't Tell Me going and all kinds of good stuff happening. So we're here. We're not going away yet. Another couple of weeks at least, and we'll make it work.
Yeah,
One step at a time. Have you been to any events, Andrew?
I have. A kind of a funny one. I took well, because we were away in Japan, we missed Monster Jam at Foxborough Stadium, which okay. Because Marco's into Monster Jam because he's 5, and it's perpetually on like Pluto TV or something. So
Sure.
if you just turn it on that streaming channel, it's just always on. But there is Hot Wheels Monster Trucks, which is similar, but I think it's based on a cartoon that exists, I guess, which he's never actually seen, but it didn't matter because it was Monster Trucks.
At the end of the day,
Um,
they're monster trucks. It doesn't matter if
It,
it's a
it
cartoon or
throws me
not.
off because like Monster Jam trucks are made by Hot Wheels, and then Hot Wheels makes the Hot Wheels Monster Trucks, but they don't appear in the same series if you go see them live. Like, if
2
you want to
separate universes, Andrew.
yeah, if you want to see Bigfoot, you have to go to the Hot Wheels one, which is cool because I actually got to see Bigfoot. I've never seen Bigfoot in real life. Well, no, I saw it on display at Indianapolis last year, but I've never actually seen it run. And it was the 50th anniversary edition. So it's like the F100 body, I think. It's like the
The
original style
original
body.
77
Yeah,
or
but it's got
75.
blue. Yeah, it's got blue with gold 50th anniversary stuff on it. It looks pretty cool actually, but it's on the modern Monster Truck chassis, which I felt like looking at the Hot Wheels ones in person, they were smaller because they mostly only do indoor events. Like this was the first outdoor one they did in the country ever at Stafford Speedway.
Where was it? Okay,
in
Stafford
Connecticut.
Speedway. That makes sense. Yeah.
It was kind of rainy, but there was a good crowd. But my critique is like it wasn't like constant action. Like it needed to be like a little more constant action. Like, come on. Like they were really drawing it out for like 2 hours, but you guys could have done a little more stuff, maybe. I don't know. I guess, and also that goes with like you and I are so spoiled by motorsports that it's like, and I feel like maybe even Marco was a little underwhelmed because the kid's been to like some NASCAR races.
Sure.
It's like if you've never seen the ocean before, a lake seems pretty impressive, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was cool though. Kids enjoy it. The merch, oh my gosh, was so expensive. So what the hell?
Yeah, because they got you. They know you're there with kids. They know you can't say no to a merch event.
The regular size like Hot Wheels monster truck, like that size monster truck toy that's like approximately
Sure.
1/64 or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah, it's like a normal size Hot Wheels body with a monster truck chassis.
$25. It's like
What do they normally cost?
I think they're less than $10.
Oh, yeah, it's a big markup.
Some of them are
But
like,
at the end of the day, if you go to a sporting event, like we went to a Diamondbacks game last year, it was $18 for a beer. So
whoa, no way. That's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, yeah, but even like, I don't know, of course, there was like, these ones are exclusive to the event. They're not sold in regular stores. And you're like,
My 5-year-old does not care.
yeah. But Bigfoot won, you know,
Quote unquote.
he did do the best stunts. Like he went bigger than everybody else. So they did make a big deal. It's like, here comes the birthday boy.
As you do it for
But
50 years, you better be good at it.
yeah, it's the best looking truck there because it's just classic. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. But yeah, that was neat. And then
So I've seen monster trucks before,
yeah,
and I saw them at the Dunkin' Donuts Arena in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Which is a hockey rink.
yeah, I don't. And the last
so
time
it
I saw
was
him before this was
really
Foxborough,
small.
and football field's not big either. So like, they at
Bigger
least
than a
had
hockey rink.
They got higher jumps because they had no ceiling to worry about. But like, they could have done like way more stuff. They had the whole track. It's like Stafford's
Pretty
like
sure
a quarter
the
mile,
ceiling.
half mile.
I'm pretty sure the
Not half mile.
ceiling is not the issue with heights in a stadium, because the roof in the Dunkin' Donuts Arena is like, I don't know, 50 feet up. I don't think that was the issue with the height. I think the issue was there's not enough runway to get speed because it's a hockey rink.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's interesting. It's certainly fun. I just wish
Sure.
like there was more places that did them outside, and they like really went
think
for
back
it.
to
I don't
like
know.
think back to like the VHS tapes in the 80s of
Those were
them
awesome, but
at
they don't
they're
look like that anymore.
they're so long. The tracks are so long. They get so much speed, and they drag race them side by side. And like it was a full quarter-mile drag race.
Yeah, they don't do that
plus
anymore. I don't
turns.
think. That's what I want to see. I want that
Yep.
because
Well,
the
I
modern.
think
I think we talked about this in our episode. We have a Halloween episode about monster trucks. Bigfoot's the original, and they had that rigid chassis originally, and now with the modern chassis, they're like ridiculous. They do all the stunts. It's like they've
Well, I think they probably learned they didn't need to have such a big spectacle because they marketed towards children. Children have short attention spans. They didn't need a long track. They just needed trucks to do backflips. And once trucks could do backflips, they could do it in the hockey arena.
Well,
rink.
that's the thing. See, Monster Jam had a little more action, and I feel like they did do backflips at Monster Jam, but like not here. They just did like a high jump. It was like kind of weird, but
the budget's lower.
yeah. So yeah, that was cool. This weekend, coming up, Lime Rock, because they haven't had IMSA for like 3 years now, but they've got NASCAR trucks. So I know, me, Stephanie, Marco are going to go check it out. Our other friend, Steve, and his wife, also a listener on the Discord, they're going to meet us there. So I believe, I know for sure that Jordan Taylor is running as Rodney Sandstorm.
He's running as Rodney Sandstorm?
Maybe, I don't know. They're joking on it on social media. He's probably running as his real name, but
Right.
a lot of the top truck drivers will be there. I forget, Heim, I think, is like the real fast guy right now in the Toyota.
Corey Heim, not Corey Haim.
Yeah, I don't know how he'll be on a road course, but the one truck race I watched, which I think was Miami, I think I told you to watch this one, was like ridiculous, where his truck was like super fast, but it kept shutting off on him. Like he had an engine issue.
I did watch it.
He would like fire back on, he'd like catch right up, and then it would shut off.
That was weird.
So yeah, that should be interesting. I think Frankie Muniz is running it, which would be cool. The actor from Malcolm in the
As
Middle.
Malcolm.
Yeah.
Rodney Sandstorm versus Malcolm in the Middle.
He got to run Le Mans the other weekend, but in the Mustang GT support race, which was kind of cool. So they have a one make Mustang series for endurance racing.
Oh, that's cool.
He got to, because he's like a Ford driver. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, because we didn't cover Le Mans happened 2 weeks ago.
It did. Ferrari won.
Ferrari
again.
won third
But-
time in the way. Yeah.
But it was not the factory team,
Nope.
which is cool.
Yeah, privateer. 24 hours of Nürburgring was this past weekend. I was telling you it was a paywalled, annoyingly, because it went from being free on YouTube for the last couple of years to paywalled in the United States. So I think I'm gonna have to invest in a VPN because that feels like a better investment than paying for streaming services that I'll never use again. Because it was streaming on like Racer Plus, and I was like, I definitely don't want to pay for that.
I feel like I would like to invest in theft because that's what I need to do at this point. It is time at this point in streaming services. It is time for crime.
I've had enough.
Yep.
Although I will say we wrapped up. Well, let's talk. Mexico was awesome. NASCAR race in Mexico.
It was amazing.
The Xfinity race was won by Suarez, which was awesome. He came from last to first
Yeah,
because he
it
wrecked
was
the car.
It was almost it almost looked as scripted as Bigfoot winning the monster truck thing, but it wasn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was so good. And the reason it was so good for anybody who's
those
not a
cars-
NASCAR fan is because he's from there. Like that's where he's
Yeah.
from. So it was the hometown hero, and the crowd went nuts.
I mean, you should go watch the recap on YouTube because the Xfinity cars race really well on a road course. Like they're really entertaining.
Well, they're essentially Gen 7 Cup cars.
Gen 6 Cup cars.
Whatever the previous gen is, yeah.
And then Sunday's race, the Cup race, nobody's ever raced on this track. So, of course, SVG was the favorite because he's the road course ringer for tracks that nobody's been on. And unsurprisingly, he absolutely smoked everyone. So, it was still a
The
good race,
last
though.
10 laps of the race, he was a second a lap faster than everybody else. With 10 laps to go, he was up by 9 seconds. He won the race by 19 seconds.
The largest gap in since the 70s of any NASCAR race, any Cup race.
And the largest gap in any road course race ever.
Yeah, and the closest, the next closest was Larson at Bristol last year, where he just dominated that race in September. But yeah, that was an interesting race. That was cool. I think I was listening to another podcast that made a good point that, maybe they don't go back to Mexico next year, but maybe they try Canada. Maybe they alternate every other year, go somewhere like Mexico or Canada.
Well, the
do,
Mexico
an
course is a
international.
Formula One course.
Yeah.
So there are plenty of Formula One courses that they could.
We do,
use.
Montreal. That would be a cool place for a NASCAR race. I'd go up there for that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm in for that completely.
I mean, if I had not spent a bunch of money on Japan, I probably would have gone to Mexico City for a NASCAR race, but that was out of the cards this year. But so that was a really cool race, and this past weekend was Pocono, but it kind of wrapped up we were talking about streaming services. It was Prime's coverage of NASCAR, so they had they had 6 races.
Yep.
It was pretty good. I didn't mind it. I liked it. It's better
The
than Fox.
coverage-
Fox is definitely is bad.
The coverage wasn't terrible. What I did not like about it was I did not watch the Pocono race live.
Yeah.
I watched it after the fact, and it
Yeah.
was very difficult to find the race
Yes.
on Prime.
I did that too.
I had to. It didn't even list it in the thing when you searched it.
No.
I had to go to the pre-race and long press the select button, and it was it brought up additional options, and it was
Yeah.
oh, here's the race replay, but it took me forever to find it. And then I got halfway through it, or 3/4 after the first 2 stages, and I was like, all right, I got to watch the 3rd stage tomorrow because I get stuff to do. And then I put the 3rd stage on. If my boss is listening, cover your ears, on my desk at work the next day. So I just put it on my phone, and it wouldn't let me restart, or I'd stop watching it on the TV, and it was frustrating
Oh,
to me.
weird.
I had to fast forward all the way to stage 3, and then the Prime thing doesn't fast forward or rewind very good. It doesn't give you a preview.
No.
So you have to kind of like guess, and like I guessed it went too far, and I was like, well, I guess I know who's leading with this many laps to go, but it's kind of clunky, and at the end of the day, personal feelings aside, I don't want to have to use Prime. Like, it is what it
Yeah,
is, but I'm glad it's back to regular cable. Spoken like a
so
true old
now-
man.
Well, now we're back to NBC, which NBC does really, really good motorsports coverage.
Yes, they do. I assume Lee Diffie's back.
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect.
Yeah, I don't know. The Fox one is definitely the low point of this broadcast because their on-air talent is just not good.
Nope.
I don't know. I just do not
Paula,
like.
if you've have you watched an Xfinity race in the CW?
No, because
It's
I don't even know where the CW is. I might even have that on my cable, as a lot of people are complaining. Like some people don't even have it, or it doesn't, or some CW affiliates don't broadcast the race.
Oh, well, we have the CW affiliate here that does, and the coverage makes Fox look professional. It
Okay.
is absolutely atrocious. It's like, and the car driven by a guy is passing
Well, I think they
another car.
Don't they like sub in drivers? Like, what didn't Chastain do Mexico or something? Like,
So Xfinity, a lot of times they have open cars. And if a Cup driver wants to use an open car, they'll go in there and use the open car for practice or for whatever. So
no. I think I meant like on
for
the
coverage?
broadcast. Yeah.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
Chastain did the
Sometimes.
broadcast coverage for Mexico.
Oh, I did not know that, but I know that sometimes they have had it in the past. Yes, but NASCAR does that too, because the Cup race this weekend they had Corey LaJoy in the booth.
Yeah.
So who knows?
I don't know. All I know is Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer are just not good on air at all.
No, they're definitely not. They're definitely not.
And the
I
camera
think
work
one
is like awful.
driver is probably good for the regular play-by-play because you have that instant conversation available with a driver, but 2 drivers is not the way to do it. So have 1 driver in the play-by-play booth and then 1 driver on like pit reporting or somewhere to go to like.
You need a person who is a play-by-play professional.
Correct. And not every driver is. Like Lee Diffie. He's good.
No, the absolute best call last season was the summertime Daytona race with Harrison Burton winning. Like the call that Lee Diffie gave was so good.
Yep.
And they recap it in the Netflix series,
which I still haven't watched yet.
I'm like halfway through. It's pretty good. It's worth watching.
I kind of forgot about it, honestly.
Yeah, it's worth watching. Yeah, because there's nothing on during the week right now. It's the middle of summer. I think Naomi would enjoy it too. Stephanie liked it. So I haven't finished the Earnhardt documentary. I'm like halfway through it.
Haven't even started that one yet.
It's good. It's definitely stuff that like I didn't know. So that was cool. There's the Le Mans documentary.
The Garage 56 one.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. I just haven't sat down to do it.
It's on my list, but I haven't watched it yet either.
Yeah.
Maybe after recording. Naomi's on a bike ride, so I'll have some time to watch it.
But yeah, there's some I think there's only I read tonight, there's only 9 regular season races left. Which doesn't seem like a lot. Or it seems like, but yeah, because we're kind of halfway through the summer.
There's 10 playoff races too, though, right?
Yeah.
So it's still 20 more weeks.
Yeah.
So it's not a short period of time.
I mean, I'm going to go see the Cup cars in September, which isn't, I don't want to rush the summer because it's not 4th of July yet, but that's in September. So,
right.
But yeah.
Oh, they race until November, so there's plenty of time to go.
Mm-hmm.
The race here is November, so. I went to a Haggerty Drivers Club event.
Oh, okay.
So
how was that?
It was interesting.
Did you make sure you got a discount through your Haggerty's Driver Club, right?
It was free for Haggerty Drivers Club members.
Okay. Yep. That's good.
It was actually free for everybody. There was no cost to the event.
Okay.
Period.
I've
But
talked
if you were
about it before.
Haggerty,
You should always check there because you're paying for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't realize it. They have like discounted stuff in there for events.
yeah, for sure. But it was so Haggerty Drivers Club. So Haggerty does, they call it there's something they call that past week, like Never Stop Driving Days or Driving Day or something like that, they call it. And they do events all over the country. And our event was this past Sunday. If you were a Haggerty Drivers Club member, you got, premium parking, which was indoors in this warehouse building. So I have been not extremely vocal, but sort of vocally against the venue that it was at, because I'm not a fan of pay to play like car storage / car clubs. And I haven't been going to any of the events at them. But I figured since it was a Haggerty sponsored event instead of the warehouse sponsored event, the clientele would be a little different and maybe a little bit more our speed. And it was. So it wasn't just a sea of new Porsches and Ferraris. It was a good mix of stuff. But I got there pretty early because actually a good friend of mine is now the Haggerty Drivers Club event rep in the area here. And got there nice and early so I could get a spot to park, because if there's anything I've learned about car shows in Phoenix or any car event in Phoenix, if it says it starts at 8, get there at 6:30, or else you won't get a parking spot because people are here incredibly early for events. So I got there at 6:40, I think, and I was probably the 5th person there, so that worked out well. Got a nice spot indoors, which was nice because also it's summertime in Phoenix, which means it gets hot pretty quickly. So it was nice to be indoors for a car event. The venue is what it is. It's an old, actually, sun-kissed warehouse that's been dormant for a while down in Mesa, Arizona. And it's got that very cool, probably 60s or 70s built, brick and wood. And, it's just a cool looking warehouse. Kind of bothers me that it's used as a exclusive club / storage facility, because it would be cool for an event space. But anyway, the variety of cars that came was pretty cool. It was everything from, my favorite vehicle there was an 86 Dodge Ram Charger that was just perfect period accessories and perfect patina, and just looked like a super fun vehicle to take out four-wheeling. Had a light bar across the top that had a set of C-bays and then a set of square driving lights in between that had these cloth, or vinyl, I should say, Chrysler Pentastar logoed covers on them in blue. Super rad. There's everything from a 59 Thunderbird. I brought the Mercor down. Our friend Paul, whose Conquest was sold to another friend of mine, that car came out. There's a bunch of cool stuff, and it was a neat event, especially considering it's summertime in Phoenix, and a lot of these shows don't draw many cars because it gets hot, and people like to go outside when it's hot. But the morning, it was good. It got a little toasty as the day went on, and I spent the day out and about, so the AC on the Mercor certainly needs a charge, so I'll probably do that this weekend. But I really wanted to get the Mercor out and shown in front of people as for sale. So I figured that a Haggerty Drivers Club event might get it in front of some more eyeballs. I had my phone number listed on the car, and hopefully somebody was looking at it. There was a lot of positive interaction around it. The car's running great. Almost don't want to sell it, but know I have to, so I'm going to keep pushing through. But yeah, the car ran great, drove good the whole way there and back. The only hiccup was after I parked it, there was a hissing noise. I noticed there's a little crack in the cap on the overflow tank. So I need to replace the cap on the overflow tank. So not a big deal at all. But the car ran great other than the AC. Event was a good time. Free coffee and donuts. Talked to some people there about potentially having Haggerty come on board as a sponsor or at least promoter of the Arizona Rising Sun Rally this year. So that was positive. Yeah, just all around good day. And if a Haggerty Drivers Club event is in your area, I would recommend it. They had a bunch of free Haggerty swag, hats and buttons and keychains and stickers and all kinds of stuff. And they do this once a year. They do the big week of Haggerty Drivers Club events all over the country. So check your Haggerty emails if you're a member. I wouldn't have known about it because Haggerty spams so many emails that they all go into my spam box now because they send literally like 10 a week. But thankfully, I was told about it by somebody who's helping plan it and gave them the feedback that, hey, man, less emails or we'll never know if anything's happening. So, but it was a good time. And I support what Haggerty's doing. They're an insurance company, so they should just be a terrible company, but it is what it is. They actually do support the enthusiast community, which is refreshing, to say the least. So it was a good time. But that's the only event I've been to in some time. So it's time to step it up a little bit. That being said, I did just book a flight. I am going to Monterey for the first time for Car Week.
Oh, okay.
Not sure what to expect, but I don't have to do too much as far as planning goes because I'm just piggybacking on a trip I was invited along on. We are
Nice.
camping for the entire week at the base of the Corkscrew at Laguna Seca.
Oh boy,
So that
I
sounds
have a
pretty
funny story
rad.
about that actually.
Camping at Laguna Seca?
No, well, the bottom of the Corkscrew.
Okay.
I was up at the place in New Hampshire. I was getting some paint for the house, and there's a you probably saw it. There's a hardware store at the end of the main road, or Abashan.
Yep.
Shout out to my paint guy Ben there. I was in there like a couple months ago getting paint, and he's like, "Oh, hey, is that your Montero out there?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, I love that thing. It's so cool." He's got that little 4Runner out there. I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And then this past weekend, I was over there getting some paint, and he saw my Team O'Neill shirt with the Glot VR4 in it. And then, so I started talking about some cars, and he's like, "Oh, I used to flag at Laguna Seca at the bottom of the Corkscrew in like the 80s, the IMSA cars." I was like, "What?
Oh,
That's
random.
awesome." Yeah, it's so
That's
random.
super cool.
I was
Yeah,
like,
that's
"That's
super
cool,
cool.
man." I told him I was going to Lime Rock this weekend, and I was like, "Yeah, it's too bad they don't do IMSA there anymore." But man, that I've always wanted to get out to Laguna Seca, and it's such a random thing that you were a flagger. But
Yeah,
once,
that's
now that
completely
I
random.
now that I see him, I'm like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
There's a type.
Yep, for sure. Oh, that's completely random. But yeah, so we're camping at basically, it's just at the base of the Corkscrew. So there's like a big parking area. They turn into a camping area out there. So my friends that went last year said that basically you don't need an alarm clock because every morning you get woken up by vintage race cars running around the track. So I'm way into that. So I'm flying out the Wednesday of Car Week, and I'll be there through Sunday. So it should be a good time. So they are driving out and they're hauling cars with them because they're showing some cars in a few of the events. So that's also convenient for me because I can put my camping gear in their hauler and only have to
Yeah.
fly out with a backpack with my clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
So
And they have an extra driver.
an extra driver for what? I'm not driving. I'm
Oh,
flying.
anything? Maybe. You don't know.
Oh, you mean to help them move cars around?
Yeah.
Yes. You never know. You never know. There are plenty of extra drivers. So I actually mean to get a hold of some of our friends from Radwood because they asked, because there is a Radwood display this year there,
Yeah.
which is like one of those like curated displays.
Yep.
But they have a couple of cars they want to put in the Radwood event. So I have to reach out to our friends and see if there's some space.
Cool.
Which I was going to do via Instagram, but my Instagram, by the way, people listening that are wondering if I'm dead, it was hacked
Weird.
and I got control back of it, but I'm on some like unknowingly long ban to be able to look at it or post anything.
Oh, weird.
It literally just says cannot load feed, even though I've logged back in and did all the
Huh.
things to say that it's mine. Changed the password like 100
Well-
times. Like, super annoying.
You know where people can get a hold of you reliably? The Discord. Come join the Discord.
Yes, the
We're
Discord
not
is the
locked out of
place.
that.
I'm currently not locked out of that. Maybe next week, but
Only if I ban you.
it's actually been
Just
it's
kidding.
actually been refreshing not having Instagram. Like I know I still have the auto off topic feed I could go to, but it's not the same because it's not my like personally curated feed. It's been kind of nice not having it for the past 2 weeks because I haven't spent any time on Instagram.
Yeah.
So sometimes taking a break from social media is not a bad thing. So if you have been reaching out to me, I apologize. It loads up enough to show me that I have like 12 or 13 messages, but I click the little triangle to see my messages and it says cannot load messages. That's like, cool. Thanks, Instagram. So, yeah. Anyway, so I took a bunch of pictures at the Haggerty event. Haven't shared them. I guess I could share them on the auto off topic page.
Yeah.
I probably should, but I haven't yet. Maybe that's what I'll do after podcast tonight. I'll share those pictures on the auto off topic page to do something with them.
You should,
Um,
because I was thinking, I was like, oh, I never shared any of the hobby shop pictures on our Scale Autocast. I should do that because it
Nope.
goes with our episode that we did. So
Yep. And I have
I'll
tons
probably
of
do
Scale
that
AutoCAD
this
stuff
week.
to post too. And
But-
I fully intended to post Le Mans cars during Le Mans weekend on that page, and I didn't do that either. So I've just been, because I was thrown out of my Instagram page. I've
Such
been
a bad
pretty,
influencer, Brad.
I've been pretty annoyed with the whole thing and just haven't done it at all. So, is what it is. Life
Yeah,
goes
and
on.
I've got some other. I finished some RC stuff, so I gotta post that up. But anyway, I
Excellent.
don't know. Is that an episode?
That is an episode. This gets us right back in the groove, Andrew. We're back in the remote
we're back.
recording area here.
We're back.
We got this going. This is our first big one. As long as when we close the session out, it does its thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully it does. If not, this is all for naught.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Where can they find you, Andrew?
metaphorically flip my table.
Yeah.
They can find me Instagram at Race and Anger, and I'm on Threads sometimes, and Blue Sky if they want, and of course in our Discord. So come hang out there. And Auto Off Topic is on Facebook, Instagram, and all the other places.
Well, you can find me nowhere other than Discord. So
Yeah.
that's the place to go. I can't even get into Threads because it's linked through Instagram. So
All right. Well,
it is what it is.
keep your social life analog.
Yeah, very
All
much
right,
so.
Keep cars analog, and name for the roses.